Yours.
Thank you, Francisco. So I'm hoping that you can hear me okay with your headsets and the microphones at the right level for me. So first of all, I'm going to tell you a bit about myself. So I'm accountable for delivering Landis+Gyr's largest customer projects within EMEA. So very regional focus within EMEA. And I've got over 25 years experience of working in IT. I know I don't look old enough, but I do have 25 years experience. I've only been at Landis+Gyr for 3 years, so I still feel I'm quite new into the utility sector. And actually, this is the first time that I've come to European Utility Week. So great to be here. And I want to share with you some of the lessons learnt that I've picked up during primarily the rollout of smart meters in the UK. So that's going to be the focus of what I'm talking about today. And also just sharing some experiences that I've had prior to joining the utility sector, and that was in telecoms. And really there's a lot of commonality between those two industries. And if I just give you one example, when I was rolling out IP telephony for the first time, we had a lot of problems. We would go into a customer site, we would take off the desk their trusted old phone that worked perfectly, so you could receive calls and you could make calls, and we would replace that analog phone with a new IP phone that's very shiny and very new and promised an awful lot. But in the first few years, well, probably months of those IP rollouts, the phones didn't work. And that obviously gave a really bad impression of the technology to customers. But one of the main reasons that they didn't work was because the network performance that IP telephony was reliant on wasn't good enough. So customers' LAN and WAN environments weren't capable of coping with voice technology. So the communications network had nothing to do with what the phone manufacturers were doing, but it had everything to do with the IT end-to-end solution and whether it worked or not. And that's a huge analogy to what we're going through today when it comes to smart meters. It's not just about having a smart meter that works really well. It's about having the end-to-end technology that works as well, and that includes the communication network. I feel like I want to do a bit of moving around, so I'm going to pick up the handheld mic. Hopefully you can still hear me all right. Yes, good, okay. So thank you to Francisco for introducing me. IT projects, just really asking a couple of questions. There's going to be a bit of audience participation during my presentation, whether you like it or not. So IT projects, hands up if you've been involved in or run a successful IT project. And by success, was it on budget and was it on time? Absolutely no one. Surely somebody knows of an IT... Oh, somebody I work with over there, so that doesn't count. So generally not a lot of success when it comes to IT projects. So my second question is, how many of you have been involved in or have heard of an IT project that hasn't worked out, so it's gone way over time and way over budget? How many of you heard of a project like that? So a few more hands up, and I was thinking when I was putting this presentation together, well, why is that? Because according to the Harvard Business Review, still 5 out of 6 IT projects fail. They're either significantly overrun on time or significantly overrun on budget. I'm thinking, well, why? We've been doing IT projects for a long time now. We all know about project management methodologies, so why do we keep getting it so badly wrong? And I started thinking about the technology. So as project managers nowadays, we're very used to working in a digital world. So not only has the utility sector started to digitize, but everything around us has started to digitize. And so we use technology now in a very different way to manage our projects. So we use cloud technology, remote working. People don't come to the office anymore. You can do your job wherever you are. And in fact, there's probably some people that I'm talking to now who are sitting doing their emails because you can work wherever you happen to be. And we have now a lot of collaboration tools. So using technology, it's supposed to be easier all the time to actually work together and achieve things. But even with all this support, we're still not achieving success when it comes to project rollouts, IT rollouts. So, okay, we've got the technology. What else do we have to start thinking about? And for me, it's all about how people work together. So I'm going to talk to you today about how we need to focus on not just getting the technology right, but also getting the behaviours of our project teams right. And when I'm looking to recruit project teams, I'm looking for typically leadership skills now rather than technology skills. So I look for people with agility, who can collaborate, who can innovate, and who can build trust. And if people were to ask me which of those 4 blobs would be the most important one, it would be the biggest one, not because collaboration is the longest word and the blob is the biggest one, but because it is really important. And I think the previous speaker, Christoph, I think his name was also talking about the importance of collaboration. Now we're in the wonderful world of connected IT solutions. We cannot, as technology providers, work in isolation. We have to collaborate with our customers and the ecosystem that we operate within. So, the UK. Before the smart meter rollout, the world was pretty simple. As a meter manufacturer, Landis+Gyr would design their meters, they would make meters, they would sell huge volumes of meters, and they would go and be installed in people's homes, whether it's under the stairs in a cupboard or whether it's outside. You would install the meter, and nothing very much would happen with it. People would go and look at it from time to time to get readings, but nobody ever really thought about their gas meter or their electricity meter. So the world was very simple. It didn't have to connect to anything else. Landis+Gyr didn't need to think about working with anybody else. They just manufactured meters, sold them in huge volumes to our customers, and that was really great. Then the UK government decided to get involved in smart metering. And as you all know, the UK government is always really clear about what it wants at all times. Never any confusion from the UK government at all on anything. So they created the vision for what the smart meter rollout in the UK needs to look like. And that is a relatively complex picture, but it doesn't cover the complexity in entirety of what the UK marketplace is like, because if I were to put all of the complexity onto the slide, you just wouldn't be able to understand it. So if I just talk you through some of the key elements, you have obviously the gas meter and you have the electricity meter, and Landis+Gyr install those in UK homes. Each of those gas meters then connect back to a communications hub. Now, at this point, I just want to make it clear that it's not just Landis+Gyr meters that get installed. So the communication hub has to have the ability to communicate with all meters that are being installed in the UK. It's not just Landis+Gyr meters. I just can't remember who else is rolling out smart meters in the UK, apart from Landis+Gyr. But they have to connect into the smart hub. And then to make it even more complicated, there's not just one communication hub, there's 4. Provided by 4 different organisations within the UK. So you can start to see already the complexity that we're introducing into the marketplace. It's not just about having one gas meter operate with one comms hub. You've got several gas meters operating with several different comms hubs. And then you've got different in-home devices. So we've got about 3 main ones in the UK as well. So you're introducing complexity upon complexity. And the reason that the UK government wanted to do it that way was because they wanted to have a competitive marketplace. They didn't want to give all of the smart meters to one company, all of the comms hubs to one company, and all of the in-home displays to one company. And I can understand that. But I think the level of complexity was misunderstood, which is part of the reason why the rollout in the UK is taking longer than anybody originally anticipated. So complexity has caused some of our problems. So 53 million smart meters are being rolled out in the UK, and Landis+Gyr are making a really big contribution to that, which is something we're very proud of. So we were the first to achieve in the UK compliant meters for SMETS 1 meters and SMETS 2 meters. So that's phase 1 and phase 2. And we're still rolling out phase 2 meters. So phase 1 has come to the end, phase 2 is still in rollout phase. Excuse me. We have over 30 million meters committed to us, so that's a big chunk of the marketplace in the UK. And this year, relatively recently in September, we shipped our 10 millionth meter. So big quantities we're doing in the UK. And by the end of it, 1 in every other home will have a Landis+Gyr meter. So every other house in the UK will have a Landis+Gyr meter. I've spoken about the complexity of what we're doing and some of the problems that has caused. So one of the areas that we focused on particularly was collaboration, which was a word I referred to earlier in the presentation. And it was very obvious to me that we had to get everybody working together to hit our ultimate goal, which is rolling out a smart meter to every house in the UK. We couldn't do it on our own, the comms hub providers couldn't do it on their own, the energy suppliers couldn't do it on their own. So we had to collaborate, and one way that we've done that is to introduce the Landis+Gyr User Forum. And that started 12 months ago, started off quite small scale, and it was Landis+Gyr inviting our customers to a monthly meeting to share our pain points and to share ideas, and basically to get people working together. And to start with, people were really nervous and worried about walking into a meeting room where their competitors were as well. So the first session was quite nervous, people didn't really know how to react, but it got going and we started to have some really good conversations. So if one of our customers had a technical issue, they would share that, and often another customer would have the same technical issue and we can solve it together. So working on issues together made sure we solved things much quicker. And the popularity of the Landis+Gyr User Forum then really took off. So not only do we have our customers, but we have the UK government attending, we have the DCC, which is the communications provider, attending, we have the finance teams, the MAPs attending, we have the communication providers attending, so we have the whole ecosystem coming together now on a monthly basis. And it's really fantastic to build that collaboration and to get people to work together. And that has solved a lot of the technical issues that we've struggled with within the UK. Because believe me, the world has not been perfect. There has been a lot of technical issues, but we've only solved them by working together. So some of the learnings, keep it simple, don't underestimate technical complexity. So where possible, try and use standardized products. If you try and bespoke products and services, it increases technology and it increases the technical complexity, and that is harder to achieve. New technology, you don't know what you don't know. One area that, again, we've worked with our customers on improving is testing. So Landis+Gyr, from a meter manufacturer perspective, used to be very used to testing their products within our location. So we would design a meter, we would build a meter, and we would test it in a Landis+Gyr office. And then we would give it to our customers, and that would be fine. But now we're developing meters to work in an end-to-end IT solution. And we need to test our meters in that end-to-end IT solution. And we don't have that within our own facility because we don't have access to all of the head-end system, etc., within the UK. So the only way that we can test our meter is by testing it with our customers in their end-to-end test environment. And the only way that we can be really successful is to make sure that we're using exactly the same test plan as our customers use. So working together, testing together, piloting together has really helped us to speed up the process and the rollout and identify technical issues as soon as possible and then particularly fix them as soon as possible. I've mentioned the importance of communication, so making sure your communication technology is really fit for purpose, and engage with your customers. So I think we got this a bit wrong in the UK. When the government was rolling out smart meters for the first time, customers were sold the idea of a smart meter because it was going to save them money. But let's all be honest with ourselves, a smart meter won't save you money. You will only save money if you use less electricity or gas, or you move on to a different tariff. So the messaging from the government, I don't think, was well enough, and it didn't engage with the customers well enough. And once you've lost that trust and that engagement with your customers, it's very difficult to get it back again. So make sure that engagement works. And also celebrate success. Within the UK, we've heard a lot about the things that haven't worked very well, but there have been many, many things that have worked really well when we're looking at the smart meter rollout, and that is not something that's celebrated enough. So I've touched on quite a lot of these points already, but this is direct feedback from our customers. So what are our customers asking us for? Joint testing, I've already referenced, and the importance of that. Sharing and prioritising common defects, so really working together to solve defects, and having very direct access to our product managers so we can provide that in-depth technical experience to our customers. Collaboration, I can't talk about collaboration enough, and the importance of making sure you identify your ecosystem, you identify your stakeholders, and you really make an effort to work together. And just one point on that, I've yet to see a legal contract that we sign or our customers sign that mentions anything about collaboration. Contracts don't encourage it, and that's something that I would encourage you all to think about when you're signing contracts. How do you get teams of people to collaborate and work together? Values, again, we mentioned collaboration and trust, but also innovation. And then engagement, so making sure that you've got that proactive engagement and you're thinking across the industry, so thinking about industry-wide challenges. Don't just think about the challenges that are specific to your particular organisation. And then it's really important that when you get issues, you identify the owner of the issue and you solve it. When you're working in an end-to-end IT solution, the first thing most parties would do when there's a problem is work out and make sure it's not their fault. So people don't solve the problem to start with. They just want to make sure that they can prove that it's not their fault. So making sure that you've got that ownership from an issue perspective when you're working in an IT end-to-end solution is really, really important. So just some tips here. Again, I think I've touched on most of these, but certainly from our customers' perspective, they've had to prepare their organisation. So digitising the world means that you have to change some of your business processes and the way you do things. So the smart meter rollout has enabled or forced our customers to restructure the way they do things. Keeping it simple. As I've mentioned before, you can have a whole list of swanky capabilities and functionality, but start with the basics and get that right first before you start introducing some more technically complex capability. Communicate with your customers. Make sure that you get the engagement right and you deliver the right message to them about the advantages of what you're doing. Logistics, really important. Anybody that rolls out millions of devices, whatever they happen to be, logistics plays a big part in making that rollout a success. Making sure that you're following the processes in the field when it comes to the installation and the testing of meters, and thinking ahead. We're moving now, or we have moved into a digital world. You have to really think about the things that you do differently to make sure that you can be successful in that new digitized world. And I'm just going to leave you with a few of our customer quotes, and also say that we're here at European Utility Group. Landis+Gyr has booth C80, so if you want to come and speak to us after the presentation, either today or tomorrow, we'd be very pleased to answer your questions. And actually, I'll be very pleased to answer any questions now. I've always, watching this cube thing, I really want to throw that at somebody. So if anybody has any questions, I'd love to throw it to them. I mean, even if you haven't got a question, I'd like to throw it at someone. So any questions before I go? I might be out of time, so no?
Yeah. Well, first of all, thank you for your presentation. Thank you very much. And yes, I think it's very interesting. Any questions to the audience. Somebody from the back, please. I would like to also to throw it, or you can throw it to
Someone's
the
at the
back.
back.
Anybody in the back? No questions at the back? Yes? No further questions? Okay. Okay. Thank you very much.